Hello and welcome to our Bendigo Project Knit Night. Um, if you don't know me, my name is Gay. I'm a host of the Fibermates podcast and I'm a tech editor. I've had the absolute pleasure of editing quite a few of the patterns that are in the Bendigo Project suite. So I'm so thankful to be able to be involved in this project that really is generating so much community and it's just really fabulous to be a part of. So thank you everybody for letting me be a part of it. Before we go any further, I just want to acknowledge the First Nations people. We're coming together from all over the country. So I'd like to acknowledge those groups, groups and pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and extend a welcome to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people who are joining on the knit night tonight. Um, so how we will run things, um, how we'll run things tonight is that um, in a minute we're going to hear from Susanna Kaartinen about the introducing the Bendigo project for this year, and then we're going to have about 10 minutes where we go through each of the patterns. So each of the designers, Shelley, Tess, Susanna, Vera, and Kath, are all going to talk for a few minutes about their patterns. And then I think we'll have some question and answer time, hopefully embedded into everybody's explanation of their patterns. And if not, maybe at the end. So I think without further ado, Susanna, do you want to take it away?
Yep. Thank you, Gayan, and welcome everyone from me as well. It's really lovely to see so many familiar and new faces as well. Um, so I'll just quickly share a few words about the collection that we put together for this year. So hopefully by now everyone knows the theme is texture and twist. And that kind of came about really organically just from, I think, feedback from you guys as well. After last year's collection, everyone was kind of feeling like maybe they had enough of the stripes and were really craving like some texture. And I personally was really feeling it myself. So it was really fun to really dive into something completely new and different with this collection. And I think um, the biggest sort of update, if that's what we want to call it for this year, is of course having Shelley Husband join us, which has been really amazing. And we've been so happy to have her on board. So we can really extend the knit along and turn it actually into a make along and include even more Aussie makers into our project. And that's kind of what has been on our mind when we've been putting together the collection. So we have 13 patterns in the collection this year. So 10 knitting patterns and 3 crochet patterns from Shelley as well. And we've really tried to consider a variety of different aspects with the collection. So we have different skill levels, different sizes of project. Like we have small mitts from Kath, worked in A-ply, a really quick, fun project that also doesn't take up a lot of yarn. And then we have bigger jumper projects from myself and Vera, and a poncho from Shelley that will obviously take a little bit more yarn and time to finish as well. Let me just check my notes. So we had skill level, size, also different types of garments, and also different yarn weights. Also to make it easy, maybe some of you might be stash busting as well. So not you don't have to go and buy new yarn every time. So hopefully there'll be something from that aspect as well. And also there's some consideration for size range, not just for women, but there's a jumper design from me that is unisex and also the baby size hat pattern. So there's a bit of a range for everything from lots of different aspects. But I think that's all from me. And then we can hear about each of the individual designs a little bit more from all of us.
Okay. Thank you, Susanna. Thank you so much. I thought
No
because
problem.
she is um, new this year that we would start with Shelley. So, Shelley, do you want to share a bit about your patterns?
I would love to. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. It's really a thrill for me to be part of the Bendigo project. I took part last year as a participant, as you are. I was on holidays and I chose to knit Susanna's Four Winds scarf, and it was just such the best thing. And I loved being part of it, the project on that side, and then being at the meetup. So when they reached out and asked if I wanted to be part of it this year, I was like, I was touched and thrilled, and I'm really pleased to be part of the crew. We've had such a good time getting it all together for everybody. So let me tell you a little bit about my patterns. Texture and twist. If you know anything about me and my crochet, that's, texture is what I'm all about a lot of the time. Most of my patterns have quite a fair bit of texture, and so this was right up my alley. The first thing that I designed was the crimp cowl. Whoops, so my blurring is going to make it interesting. Okay, I'll put it on my neck here. Okay, so this is a one skein wonder. It's quite snug because we want to be warm in winter. And this is beautiful merino possum yarn from Kaartinen, Louie and Lola. Thank you, Kaartinen. And the design, the motif it's called crimp. So think about the fibre of wool directly shorn off a sheep and the cute little crimpy patterns and little bits of twist. So there's some twisted kind of little bendy shapes here and some texture with front post stitches down here and some funky action here. But it's the same pattern done 4 times to make the short version. But because this, for me, I couldn't actually wear this. I don't actually like things tied around my neck, but I am aware that, a one skein wonder is a good thing to have. And some people love that tightness around their neck. So the long crimp cowl was born, which is just an extra square, but I've chosen to make this one in, this one in the merino silk yak from Kaartinen, which is beautiful yarn, and the stitch definition is just phenomenal. It's so soft and snuggly, light, but also really warm. And I wrote this one for 2 colors, so you really get the texture of the pattern in this part. And so the crimp cowl, the short and the long, the patterns come both in the one pattern. So you can choose whichever one you like. And then came the big boy. So this is the staple poncho. So it's one large square. It starts the same way in the center as the crimp cows. Oops, sorry. And then it continues this kind of pattern. And then we have these wavy, crimpy bits again along here. And this is where the sizing happens. So this pattern, there are 3 sizes available. This is the small size, so they're all quite generous. Like, I'm not a tiny person. This is quite generous. But you increase the size by repeating these sections here. So there's 3 sizes listed in the pattern. And I actually have, thanks to a lovely tester, a size 3 one here, made in the same beautiful merino possum yarn from Kaartinen. So this is the size 3 version. So as you can see, they really are quite generous. And again, the same, once you've done that center part, the techniques are the same throughout pretty much. So while it's not a beginner pattern, none of them are. They are, I would call intermediate style patterns. There's front post stitches in there. There's clusters. There's a bit of third loop or LBV action, if you know what that is. That's not too difficult. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I can tell you about those. Oh, that's Kaartinen has kits. One of my testers made this poncho also in the merino silk yak, which it gives it a whole new look, a whole different drape and definition. So that's lovely too. But you can use any yarn you like. I've even got one of the cows here. I made this in cotton, this Bendigo cotton. Because I'm
That was
quite a
a
hot
question.
person.
That was a question,
Yes.
Shelley, that I wanted to ask, and that is, how do you pick a yarn for your project? Like what kind of
Um,
qualities are you looking for in the yarn to give the best
for
result?
me, it's for me, it's natural fiber is number one, but or well, equal number one, equal pegging are stitch definition and natural fibers for me. So most of the time I use cotton, which is mainly when I'm making blankets. But when I'm making wearables, then I do tend to go for wool, alpaca, that kind of thing. So I know the stitch definition, because of this is the possum fuzz,
Mm-hmm.
is not as great, but it's just such a warm hug of a thing. It's just delicious. So
It's unbelievable.
normally I
I've got
wouldn't go
some.
for something. Sorry, I missed that.
No, that's okay. I was just commenting on that merino possum yarn is just it's can I call it scrumptious?
Oh, it is. It's delicious. I call it delicious. It's just so tactile. Like, yeah, it really is just a warm hug.
Mm.
Um, Winter day, you would not be cold with this. And also, just as a quick aside, you don't have to wear it traditional poncho way. You can also wear it a crossbody. Whoops. So the points go down your arms as well. So it's like a little crop top
Oh, so it's
across.
really versatile.
Yeah, yeah. And the same thing with the cows. I will put this on for a moment, even though I'm really hot. So this is the way that, kerchief style, but you can also do it this way. So a bit of extra warmth on the back of your neck with a big
Oh,
jacket over the front. You keep your neck warm at the front and the back of your neck, just that little bit extra warm bit. So
yes.
yes. So there you go. That's
And
my texture and twist patterns. Does anybody have any questions or anything about that? Or is there time for questions? I don't know how long I
yeah,
spoke.
I think there's a few minutes for questions. You can put your hand up if you want to ask a question, and I'm monitoring. I'll ask another question though while I'm doing that. And skill level, Shelley. So I've just recently, people who watch the podcast will have seen, I have recently started to crochet. Um, so maybe I need a bit more experience before I tackle this. I feel like I can only really do a treble crochet, so I'm a very, very
Well, I mean,
beginner.
having said that, a treble crochet, that's what most of these stitches are. It's just where you poke your hook. So to do a front post stitch, instead of working it into the stitch, you're working around the post. It's still the same stitch. It's just where you poke your hook is different. So,
Okay.
with a little bit of support, a little bit of learning, it's really is mostly treble crochets.
Okay. We'll see.
Yeah.
Melanie. Melanie has a question.
Hi,
Hi,
Melanie.
Shelley. It looks like a lovely pattern. I'm just wondering if you could share the meterage for each of them,
I
because
predicted this.
I'll be stash diving.
Yes, I have the patterns up here on my screen because I predicted that. So for the short crimp, it's just where are we? This was a DK 8-ply yarn for the short crimp, the one, where are we? This one. 100 grams, I used about 90 for that one. For this, oops, this one here, it's actually a one skein and then a mini, or two minis actually. So the two minis, so 40 grams ish. It's actually, hang on, let me get it, the correct instructions up there. Sorry, my computer's playing nice. Yeah, so 30, I used 85 of the main color and 35 of the contrast color. And for this one, the staple, this is actually made with the 4-ply or fingering weight possum merino, but it works up like a DK. I say 500 grams for each size, but your size 1 is going to be really close to 400, and your size 5 is going to be size 3 is going to be really close to 500. So 4.5 will do your middle size, 4-ish, yeah, for your small, and 5 for the large. Yeah. Yes.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Shelley. They're beautiful patterns. They are just
Oh, thank
beautiful.
you.
You're welcome. We'll now hear from the lovely Tess at Fluff and Nonsense. Tess, take it away.
Okay, well, everyone, I'm Tess. I actually designed these patterns. I had them kind of in my head for a while. You can see I'm wearing a vest. I actually designed the socks with this motif before I designed the vest, but I hadn't published them or done anything like that. So when we were working on this project, I thought, well, the socks should probably be included because they're a really nice texture. So these are them knitted in Owl of Athena yarn. So I used the Vesta base, which is a merino, nylon, and stellina. So the stellina just adds a little bit of sparkle, which is a little bit tricky to see, but you can see just a little bit of sparkle in this camera light. I called it mail clad because the name for this motif in one of the books was fish related. And I was also watching and reading a lot of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and there's columns. There's a really famous scene with Bilbo and Gollum, riddles in the dark. And one of the riddles is about clad in mail ever clinking, and it's the fish. But yeah, so that just kind of stuck in my head, and I will use any excuse to find a pun and shove it into the design or the pattern somewhere. So the socks, you can knit them in one color, you can knit them in two. They have the option for what I'm calling anatomical toes. So you can see here that the toe is actually shaped and it goes up and around sharply at the big toe side, and then it curves around quite slowly for the rest of the foot. So what that has done for me, it actually gives me a much better fit for my toe. But if you don't like that sort of fit, you can use traditional ribbon decreases. The sole is knitted in reverse stockinette. So the pearl bumps are on the outside, which means that you have a lovely smooth inner sole of your sock, which a lot of people have reported really enjoying when I've been testing it. Yeah, so that's the socks. And I've also done a cowl using the same motif. And it's very straightforward, up and down. You use broken ribbing for the edges, and then you do the 8-stitch motif for the pattern. So it's actually really nice because it's a bit, I find it a little bit like popcorn, like you just keep going, keep doing a couple more stitches, couple more rows. It does need you to pay attention. So the cowl I have described as being suitable for adventurous beginners because it's all in the round. You don't have to increase or do any shaping. You just have to pay attention to the stitches. The sock, I have given it an intermediate based ranking just because I think there's not many folks who have knit socks with a reverse stockinette sole, and especially the heel flap, turning the heel flap and going from knitting with the right side out, having smooth stitches to the right side out, having pearl bumps, did trip a couple of little people up. So it's been reworded and made a little bit more accessible. But yeah, that's them. That's my socks and my cowl. I like little accessory projects. I find them nice little stash busters and comfort knitting.
Okay, so I think we'll maybe ask this question as well of you, Tess. And what's the meterage that was used?
So for the cowl,
Yeah, for the cowl.
You just need one 4-ply skein that's approximately 400 meters.
Oh,
Just one
so
skein. It's
pretty
a one
standard.
skein wonder.
Oh,
Yep.
amazing.
Yep.
And do you have any
And you
tips?
can, it's,
No, go
no,
ahead.
sorry, you go.
I was just
I was
going
going
to
to
ask.
say it's actually knit on larger needles. So it's knit on 4mm needles, I think. Let me pull it up. Sorry, I've just finished knit 3.75s. So US
Yeah.
5s, but it's knit on larger needles. The socks are obviously not knit on larger needles. These are knit on socks. But this, again, if you want to do it in one color, you just need one skein. And
Perfect.
if you want to do it in 2 colors, you just need a skein and a mini.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
do you
Or you can do it in,
Sorry, you were going to say?
I was just going to say you can use scraps as well, and that will work just as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Some of my one of my testers actually did a gradient where she had minis and she gradient striped the minis down, so it started at the darkest color and then faded to a really light blue.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. That would have a wonderful effect. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm going to put a question out to the audience. Are any of Tess's testers online? And if so, do you have your project that you might be able to share? If you do, raise your hand. But otherwise, I'll ask Tess, do you have any tips or recommendations to people who want to make the cowl or the socks on yarn selection?
Yeah, so for the cowl, I would recommend the yarn that I used is Polworth, and I
Mhm.
sourced it from Windara Black Sheep. But to really get the most out of the pattern, because you've got the twisted stitches all the way up, I
Mhm.
would really strongly recommend that the color is a tonal color or that it's got like minimal speckling. If
Yeah.
it's really hugely variegated, you're going to find it a little tricky to see the pattern, and then it can be easy to mess up.
Yeah.
For the socks, same thing color wise, but any sock yarn should do the trick.
Mhm. Mhm.
So obviously I used Owl of Athena, but there are quite a number of people doing kits for it, and they're
Mhm.
all listed on the Bendigo project website.
Oh, fantastic. Um, one of your cowl testers, Kirsty, has says that she tested the cowl and she has it here to show.
Oh,
Kirsty,
yay! She did a great
let's
job.
let's see it. Kirsty, can you take yourself off
That's
mute?
it there.
Sorry, here I am. Here is the cowl.
Hi,
Oh, look
Kirsty.
it.
I did it in a gradient, so it was,
Yes,
sorry, it's really dark in here. It's not the best of light, but it's a gradient. So it's gone from an orange to a blue, or a
and it
blue to
looks
an orange.
fantastic.
So it was lots of fun to do. I also test knitted the cowl that she's wearing as well earlier on. But I really
Yes.
enjoyed doing the pattern, like the pattern of it. So it was really fun to actually do the cowl.
Yeah. Yeah,
Amazing.
thank you so much for testing. You always provide really good feedback as well. So
Thank you, Tess. It's blushy.
Well done, and so nice to hear that it was such a fun project. You love those potato
thank
chip
you.
knits, like you
Yes.
said. And you said advanced beginner, so that's a
Yeah.
project for everybody.
For the cowl, yes, definitely an advanced beginner project. Like if one of the things I really like about beginners is they don't know what they should be afraid of. So they kind of just dive in and go, I can do this. And it's brilliant. And I love that confidence. So yeah, an adventurous beginner can definitely do the cowl. I think if you're a really adventurous beginner and you've done at least a basic sock before, you could probably do the socks. But I did rate it at a little bit more advanced just because there are some slightly unusual techniques in it.
And I think that keeps it fun and interesting, especially if you have knit quite a few pairs of socks. You can tend to get,
Yes.
right, like lulled into this is how I knit my socks kind of rut. So those new
Yes.
techniques really keep the sock knitting fresh, hey?
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing about the anatomical toes is that if you do choose to do them, you really have to pay attention because one sock is not like the other. They are
Oh,
chiral
yes.
socks. They are handed. So you will have a left sock and a right sock.
We need to create some kind of do you know they have a tags for the back of your sweater, then you need a left and a right, a little
Yes.
L and a little R tag for your socks then.
Yes.
All right. Anybody else have questions for Tess?
No, I think that's it.
Oh, Melanie.
Oh, hi, Melanie.
Sorry, I asked a question from the last person too. In
That's right.
the anatomical toes, does that mean I can't knit them two at a time?
You can absolutely knit them two at a time, but I have not written instructions to do that.
Oh, that's okay.
I would just recommend making sure that you've got your time totally devoted to the socks. Because if you can concentrate on them properly, you'll be fine. It's just they are definitely a left and a right. So you'll need to be making sure that you're doing the appropriate decreases on both sides. I hope that helped.
Okay. Well, I think we will keep going. Thank you so much, Tess. Love your patterns. And we will now move on to Susanna.
All right. Hello again. I will talk about my designs, and I'll start with the Noble jumper. And the story of this design, it actually started already in Bendigo last year. And unusually for me, the design started with the yarn. I hardly ever start with the yarn. Usually I have a design and then I look for a yarn for the design. But Fibre Art Shed, their stall is right next to mine in Bendigo at the Noble Pavilion, conveniently. And I really love their Faye yarns, which is like a really lovely tweedy mix of wool and recycled sari silk. So it has these really lovely colourful speckles, which I don't know if you can, where's it? I'll just have to find the right spot. It's not finding it. Here we go. Which you can probably see in the photos better than here right now. But yeah, I was really inspired by that yarn, and this colorway is actually designed just for me by Paul. I wanted something sort of mustardy goldy for this design. And I really love doing texture and cables with tweed. It doesn't make the cables pop in the same way as it would if you had a sort of a smooth color, but I just love that sort of rustic combination that you get from the yarn and the cables. And right from the start, we were kind of joking right there that we're all going to be wearing matching Noble jumpers next year in Bendigo, all lined up together, where Paul, myself, and my partner Michael. And I think 3 out of 4 jumpers are now knit up already, so we're almost there. But that was part of the reason why I really decided that this is going to be a unisex design as well. And I was really aiming for a timeless and classic cable jumper that's comfortable, easy to wear, unisex, and has a lot of detail, but it's not too sort of overpowering. And the skill level for this one is intermediate, and maybe slightly on the more challenging side of intermediate, maybe. Oh, hi, Ian. I can see Ian waiting. I think I have some test knitters like Katrina over here. Maybe she can say a few words about the skill level. But I have worked very hard to write the pattern in a way that it is approachable for sort of more beginner end of the intermediate scale as well. So there's a lot of detailed instructions to help get you there. And as per usual for my patterns, there are options. So as well as the unisex sizing, there's like men's grading for sleeve and hem lengths as well as women's. And then I'll try to see if I can show it. There's an option to do a split hem, which is my own favorite, but you can also leave that out and just do a completely like traditional round hem. And then with the neckline, you can do a turtle neckline, or you can do a crew neckline, which is basically the same, but just with a shorter ribbing. So lots of options there to choose from. And techniques-wise, there's nothing really super challenging. There's some tubular bind-off and cast-on which can be replaced. But in terms of the challenge, I think it comes from having to do a lot of different things at the same time. So you're kind of really having to pay attention. But once the pattern is set up, it is actually quite easy to follow because it is very repetitive in the end. So once you get started, you can kind of get into a bit of a flow with it. Katrina's nodding. That's good.
I'll interrupt to say, I just want to mention the progress tracker that keeps track of all the
Oh,
different
yes.
moving components as well that you've put at
Yeah,
the end of the pattern.
I have. And I also included an example on how to use it, but I might need to make a video tutorial on that as well, because I do get that question at the markets as well quite often is, all right, that's wonderful, but how do you how do you use it? So hopefully hopefully that'll be in the works soon as well. So that's the jumper. Oh, one more thing, kind of an important feature is the raglan shoulder. So it has a raglan, or actually a compound raglan shoulder construction, if you can see it there. But that's the jumper. And we'll move on to my other design, which is the beanie pattern. And for this one, I actually particularly had in mind that I want to do a more challenging pattern to provide something a little bit more spicy for more experienced knitters. So it is brioche, 2-color brioche. Actually, I'll show this one because this one has more contrast. It's worked in a 4-ply wet yarn, but it's only a small project. So if you're looking at wanting to try something new and fun, because learning new things is fun, right? This would be a nice size project to start with. It doesn't take forever to get it done. And there's 3 sizes, especially making the cute little one. It's really quick to knit up once you get going. If it's a new technique to you, then obviously it'll take a little bit of time to get used to it. But once you get going, it's actually super quick. And there's a little bit of twist in there too. I actually taught myself to do brioche cables for this one too. So if I can learn it, then you can do it as well. It's not that bad. And there's a really good video tutorial included, not by me though, but it was really good and clear on how to do those as well. So 3 sizes, that's the largest. It's I can wear it, but it's a little bit sort of slouchy on me. And then there's the middle size, which is a small adult. It's kind of my own size. And I won't even try to put this one in my head. I made one for my 1-year-old niece, and it fit her perfectly. So that's sort of about the size that this one is. And this yarn is 4-ply, and it's from Julie from Dyed by Hand Yarns. She developed these 4 colorways for me, and they're just beautiful. And they actually, the colors are based on the sari silk flex from the jumper, because I wanted to color coordinate. So here we go.
I love
right. I think that's all from me. Yeah.
Okay. There's already a question in the chat, Susanna.
All right.
So
perfect.
Thank you, Liz, for the question. Is the 20 stitches and 31 rows supposed to be a 10 centimeter square? And also, should I do gauge for the cables? She's keen to get her gauge right before she dives into the Noble jumper.
Yeah, good plan. Yes, so that's a 10 centimeter square for the gauge. And just as a little side note, I always grade my patterns with centimeters. So you're always going to get the most accurate reading of the gauge when you use centimeters as your units in my patterns. But yeah, 20 stitches for 10 centimeters, and then 31 rows, another 10 centimeters. And the cables, and that's in broken rib pattern. And then the cables, I have added the widths of the cables in the pattern. So you'll see in the pattern what's the intended width of the cable. And it is kind of important because you have, especially for the body, because you do have several cables in a row. So if they're not the right width, it's going to very quickly add up and impact the overall size. So I do recommend when you're swatching, ideally try to swatch. Well, I always recommend swatching like a really big swatch, as big as you can muster, and include a bit of the broken rib, ideally bigger than the 10 by 10, have at least 15 by 15, and then do each of the cables as well, so you can compare the measurement to the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that answered. that question.
And just following on from that, there's another question, Susanna. Someone wants to knit the hat. Sorry, Sue, thank you for your question. Sue wants to knit the hat, the brioche hat, but she wants to do a swatch because she's tired of items that end up too big. I mean, yeah, especially with brioche because it's so stretchy, right? So her question is realistically, how big of a swatch in the round should she do?
Well, kind of what I said before, 15 by 15 is a good minimum size. So you always want to have a little bit of clearance from the edges. But also noting, might be getting into the weeds, but when you're knitting small circumference versus larger circumference, sometimes your gauge changes. So when it comes to making a hat, it's almost worth just making the baby hat as your swatch, because the actual swatch that you would need is not a lot smaller than this hat. So
yeah,
hope that helps.
Do you ever try to swatch in the round, just knitting across and then looping the yarn around? I've done that technique.
Yeah,
tried that.
Yeah, I regularly do that actually. And then when you do that, you have to be extra mindful that you have a big enough swatch, because those few edge stitches are going to be like even more looser than they would normally be because of the looping. That's my personal experience with that.
They do get a bit wonky.
So, yeah. But with this one, you actually get a little, hopefully a hat that fits someone.
All right.
And this is quite forgiving anyway. Like it does stretch a lot. So if your gauge is not, like I could put this over my head, but I won't.
Sue's asked a follow-up
question. I tried it before. It doesn't look great. Yeah.
There's a follow-up question. Is there enough wool in the kit to knit a small and a large hat?
Yes, I've actually done that. Not with all the same colors, but you have two colors and you have an equal amount of each color. And these two hats have the same navy in them, and I used that one skein, and there's even still some left over. So there's enough to make two of these middle size or any other combo, but you can't make two of these from that 50 plus 50.
Gotcha.
And the baby size I made for my niece, I used 20, so 2 minis essentially is what I used for her hat. So you actually don't need much at all for that one. But so that was 20 grams each. This is about 25 each, and this was about 30 each. So not a lot of yarn.
Okay, fantastic. Anyone
Good
else?
value.
Yeah. Anyone else have a question for Susanna before we move on? Okay. Thank you, Susanna.
Thank you.
I think everyone's kind of looking forward to getting stuck into their Nobles and their McKinnons. Now we will hand over to Miss Vera.
Hello, there you go. I've unmuted myself. Thank you everyone for being here and for the wonderful reception of our patterns. There seems to be even more awareness of the Bendigo project this year, so we hope it will grow more and more, and they'll be everywhere. That's the thing. We're going to take over the world. So, like Susanna, my design came out from a Bendigo sheep show encounter last year. We were both sharing a stall, and a lovely person came by, and we were just chatting. What have you been knitting? And she had in her bag, she had just finished test knitting for a designer from America, a beautiful V-neck jumper in a linen merino yarn, and it turned out to be the one from Great Ocean Road. Isabel and Nick's beautiful merino linen yarn. And I was like, oh, wow, that texture. You know, it's one thing to see it in the skein, but she had done already the jumper and it was blocked. And I was like, wow, I need to knit something with this yarn. And then it so happened that Susanna told me that Isabel had been waiting for a cardigan design for a bit. And I was like, well, if you don't mind, I will just step in and steal your thunder. So I talked to Isabel and I said, are you still interested in a cardigan? She was like, yes, Vera, of course. And then even better, I realized that base is used by the very talented Katrina from Pirate Pearls. So, you know, like all my favorite people in one place, like the yarn, the dyer, the combination. I love linen as a add-on to other yarns. So then it was meant to be. So, you know, I said, that's it. So I went home and I didn't yet have any yarn because I think I had no room in my luggage. Is that what it was? Yes. I was flying back to Sydney. There was not any room in my luggage for any extra yarn. So I got home and in my stash, there was this yarn. It's Alvor. So it's basically 50-50 wool linen. Okay, this was my personal stash. So I got some needles. It's exactly 5 ply. It was like meant to be. And then I grabbed one of my stitch books, which is one of those Japanese treasure books of stitches. And there was a very nice cable-y thing in there with what is called now the bean stitch. So it's like so it's this stitch here. So this is the stitch. It's 3 stitches, which are basically knit stitches. So it's like a column of stockinette, but every 4 rows, one of the stitches is pulled over the other 2. And then in the middle, you add a yarn over. So you get this really cool effect. My friend Emina from my knitting group already said, oh, I love that stitch, Vera. It's so effective. So I'm like a magpie, just steal people's ideas and yarns. Then yeah, so this is basically the biggest swatch in the universe. Okay, I still have it. I just don't have the heart to frog it. Okay, there's basically a back made with that Alvor, and I'm thinking maybe I'll make a cushion cover or something because it's just perfect, except it was knitted in the wrong direction. I started bottom up and then I changed my mind and I want it top down. So okay, so swatch, biggest swatch in the world, perfection. I was very happy. Yarn arrived from Katrina in this gorgeous color. So this is, you can see it's basically the same yarn. It's just so good for this stitch. Yeah, so this is the Great Ocean Road base dyed by Katrina. Yeah, from then on, it was really smooth sailing. Top down, there's some short rows in here in the shoulder. Then you just join it and it's in one piece. I already had a cardigan, an op shop buy of a cardigan that I used to wear at gigs, which had this very low neck, V-neck. So this might be controversial. People might go like, that's too low, I don't like it. If you want to change it, I don't mind. But this is what I wanted. I wanted a very low V-neck. Like, it's just a statement. Okay, so no one can comment on that. I mean, you can comment, but I'm not gonna be upset about it. Low V-neck. The other new thing for me was this finishing of the button band, which is this newfangled technique by doing a double knit. So you pick up stitches all around your edge and then you work a double knit band, which takes forever. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. is like you're knitting and knitting and you've done this much. But so worth it. I think it looks great. Okay. Would I do it again? Very tempting. Yes, probably. If you don't like it and it's too like new and you feel like I want my traditional finish, I've included a 1-1 rib band. There it is. You pick up stitches, you do your 1-1 rib, done in probably a quarter of the time of the other one. There is a video tutorial how to do the double knit. Actually, it was funny because I was in the middle of moving to Queensland and my friend Diane wrote the instructions for the double knit band. So she gets credit for that. So she wrote it, I made a video, teamwork 100%. Then the sleeves are just picked up and you do them in the round. Again, a bit of a different cuff. The cuff does not have the stitch all the way around. Half of it is in stockinette. Actually, it's less than half. It's just this little band here. So you continue decreases in here without having the trouble of juggling your stitch pattern. So the yarn we love, and not wanting to stop there. There's one done in merino possum, still by me. So I must actually love knitting. This is Zealana Kauri. So it's got a little bit of silk on top of the merino and possum. This would be if you want a warmer version and you're gonna get more positive ease. So the pattern says, you know, you want it over summer dresses, you should have that much positive ease. You want it over, you know, jumpers, something more roomy. The sleeve, it is quite close. Yeah, so the size 2 fits me. But if I have a sleeve underneath, you can see the sleeve bunching up. So then I would do a size 3, which is this size, if I want it over layers. So that is my guide to sizing. I will move on to scarf because I always talk too much. I am so sorry. The scarf, same stitch. So basically one repeat of the chart is exactly the same chart with a little bit of pin and the edge. This is also by Zealana, this yarn. It's cashmere, silk and possum. It's very light. It's called lace weight because of its yardage, but I knitted at almost fingering weight, light fingering, and it blocked beautifully. It started in the middle because of the pointy ends. So these are the ends. Oh, I still have my tag from markets. Look at that. Let's get the other end. Here it is. So this is at the end. You do these decreases and you get the end. And I couldn't replicate the pointy end through increases. So I couldn't start at one end and finish at the other end. So it starts in the middle with a provisional cast on. Again, made a little video and then made a new one because the old one wasn't good. And this is the middle. So if you look carefully, you can't really see where the line is. It's somewhere in here. Provisional cast on, then picked up stitches, and it looks quite seamless. I'm very pleased with that. Scarf is, if you do it in fingering, you need about 200 grams. Katrina tested for me. Thank you, Katrina. And she used the 5-ply, I think. She can tell us about it. It came out beautifully. You can basically bigger gauge, bigger scarf, different textures. This one's very light. The bigger yarn will give you a more substantial scarf. I think that's all. Thank you.
Does anyone have, oh, here we go. I'm casting on my Noosa cardigan right now and looking forward to learning lots of new things, including double knit. I have actually just finished a double knit button band. And And I think it took me 3 days. And there was 3 days when my husband was away. So I had literally no other commitments other than this button band. So, but the look of it is unbelievable. It's just the finish of it is like very professional, and it will give the button band quite good structure. So when you put the buttons on, there's no flopping around. So highly recommend the double knit button band. Any other questions for Vera? You can either pop them in the chat or raise your hand and we can get you off mute. All right, Vera, I think that's it. We can always ask questions at the end too. So if anybody does have something come up, some burning question that you need, we'll have a bit of question time at the end too. Thanks, Vera. And last but not least, I have just cast on this hat. I think I said it at the beginning. So we're going to have Kath Martin talk about her accessory patterns.
Thanks, Gay. Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining. And I'm Lucky last, so I hope you're all still awake and still enjoying the discussion about all of the patterns. We're very excited that you're all here. So thank you all for coming. We've been working on our patterns and talking about this project in the background since about August last year. So I know you're all seeing this for the first time in the last few weeks, but we've been talking about it and working on it for a really, really long time. So we're just really excited to be sharing it with everyone. And we're really grateful for the really warm welcome that everyone's shown to the patterns today. It makes us feel like all that hard work was worth it. So yeah, thank you, everyone. So my patterns are, if you are looking for the perfect winter accessory set and you really, really want to be matchy-matchy, this is the set for you. So I have 4 patterns in the collection. There's a hat pattern, fingerless mitt pattern, and 2 sock patterns. So the sock patterns are, one is a 4-ply sock and the other is an 8-ply sock or DK weight sock. So you can mix and match whichever kinds of accessories you want to keep you warm, particularly if you're heading to the sheep show, because it's always freezing cold at the sheep show. So mitts and socks and hats are definitely needed. So my patterns are called sheep show socks and sheep show mitts and sheep show hat, because that was kind of my inspiration this year. And my inspiration from the texture and twist theme was very much about cables that look amazing and texture that looks amazing, but is super, super simple to do. So I love the kinds of projects that you pick up and you don't feel like you're doing too many tricky things. Like you can get into a rhythm. It's mostly really plain knitting, but you just do a couple of tricky things and then the end product looks amazing and like you've done this really complex thing and people compliment you. So that was kind of the inspiration. And I worked with 3 of my favorite yarn dyers because I'm all about the color. I don't know if any of you have seen any of my other patterns or my podcasts, but I love bright colors. So I worked with Kaz from Hodgepodge Skeins, Danny from Half Baked Hand Dyed, and Vanessa from My Creative Garage, and they all sent me the most amazing colorful yarn for me to knit up these patterns for this project. So let me show you the patterns now. What do I start with? It's like Christmas. There's so many fun things here. Okay, so let's start with the fingerless mitt. So I think this is probably the easiest pattern out of the 4 patterns. They all have the same 2 types of cables. Some of the patterns have additional fun cables, but they are all generally the same, and so they all match and complement each other. And so here is the fingerless mitt pattern. So these are the sheep show mitts. They start from, they're sort of in the round and they're from the bottom up. They have this amazing twisted rib in this absolutely gorgeous color from Hodgepodge Skeins. And so it starts with the twisted rib cuff, and then we've got these absolutely beautiful cables, and I'm all about just throw everything. So yes, I've got speckles and variegated with my cables because you can never have too many of a good thing. So that's all in the mitts there. And then you do your increases for your thumb, and then there's some twisted rib to finish off both the hand and the thumb. And you can make adjustments for the length of the cuff and the length of the hand to fit basically your preferences, but they're a beautiful fit. The cables just hug the hand, and it's so quick. I knit my pair of mitts in a weekend, so you can have them done. You can have a pair for yourself done, you can have a pair for your friend, for your family. There's 4 sizes, child through to adult extra large, so you can make a pair to fit anyone. So they're the mitts. Then that same cable theme follows through to the hat. So the first hat that I knit was actually in this amazing pink colorway from My Creative Garage. And so you'll see the same cables there, and it's got this beautiful twisted rib bottom. What? Brim. Thank you, brim. Too late on a Saturday night. And again with the variegation and the speckles because it just looks so good. So I knit this one, and it was a little bit small, so it fits. I have a gigantic head. It fits my daughter. So this is the small adult size. And then I knit this one with a really, really fun pop of color on the top of the brim. And this fits my gigantic head. So this is the adult medium. And yeah, it's really fun. It's really quick. And as you do the decreases, the amount of cabling you have to do actually decreases. So the cables disappear. And so by the end, you're doing almost no cabling. And I should say the cables in all of these patterns can be done without a cable needle. And I've got instructions and videos linked in the patterns. And so it's all really, really easy, very straightforward. Then we have the 2 sock patterns. So this is really, it's about your preferences. Do you prefer nice thin socks? Do you prefer socks that knit up super quickly? Do you prefer boot socks? Those kinds of things. So the 4-ply socks are for if you love a nice thin sock, but they do take a little bit longer, of course. But I have to say, and I do see at least one of my testers in the group here. I have to say, once you start, and it's actually really hard to stop. It's hard to put them down. You just want to keep knitting the repeats. But the sock pattern again starts with the twisted rib in the cuff. It's a top-down sock, and it has that beautiful cable on the front. The 4-ply socks actually have an extra fun cable on the back. Because you've got all that extra space on the back. So there's extra fun going on in the 4-ply sock. And then the DK weight sock, or the 8-ply sock, I knit up in yarn from Half Baked Hand Dyed, and this knit up so quickly. These are like the mitts. You can get them done in a weekend, and they've got that really beautiful twisted rib. The cables really pop in the 8-ply yarn, and a lovely contrast toe. And so with all my patterns, there's lots of instructions. I write them for adventurous beginners. So there's lots of tips, lots of tricks, lots of links to videos, lots of explanations, and you can also just reach out to me if you have any trouble at all. But I had lots of testers that actually tested each of the patterns, and so now they have a full matching set of accessories, which is really fun. So I am really excited about these ones, and I'm very happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
We have a few. We've got a few questions.
Oh, great.
All right. Kathy asks, I have just knitted the band and done the folded section, now up to the main color. Can you explain the next step where you have to flip the work?
Ooh, Oh, this is fun. So I'm assuming this is on the hat. So the knitting the brim of the hat, we're knitting twisted stitches, but I'm all about what is the easiest way to twist your stitches. So you can, of course, twist both the knits and the purls, which gives you twisted stitches on both sides of the fabric. But why would you do that when you can just twist the knits and that's easier? So I wrote the pattern so that you only have to twist one side. But what that means is we then have to do a very quick little German short row to flip the work around. So then we're working the inside of the work as if it's the outside, and that's so that you can fold the brim of the hat up. So you basically just knit as follow the instructions. If you just follow them step by step, you'll absolutely be able to do it. But essentially you just knit the first round after the brim all the way around to the very last stitch. You do a quick German short row and that flips the work inside out. And it's a very tricky and fun way to make sure that you can then fold your brim up and it's on the right side.
Fantastic. And then Becky says, currently knitting the cuff on my 4-ply sheep show socks. My first time cabling. Fantastic, Becky. We love that.
Brilliant. Yes.
Chris tested the sheep show socks, but she had a hand injury, so she's at the gusset of the second sock. Well done, Chris. I hope you're feeling better. She says, I hope to have it finished before today, but didn't happen. That's okay. No deadlines, right, Kath? I think you've got some pretty
my test knits are the most fun ever. I have a zero pressure test knit environment. So I get enough test knitters so that if people don't finish in time or if people do different things or things happen, and I know that, you know, life happens, that's totally fine. We are all about having fun, making sure that I get plenty of feedback so that I can make my patterns as good as they can be. But it is definitely a no stress, no pressure environment. So yeah, however people get them done, and if they don't get them done, that's okay as well. So yeah, it's just about having fun together.
Yeah. Claire wants you to put the hat on. She's trying to decide whether to knit the adult medium or the adult large.
For you, I'm taking out my ponytail. There you go. Here we go. How cute is it?
Super cute.
So I can actually get the small one on as well. So if you like one that's a little bit more like has a bit of looseness to it, you can knit one at a bigger size. And then if you knit one down a size, you can actually get like a really nice tight leaf-fitted beanie, which I think, you know, the kids are wearing these days, preferring the more tightly fitted beanies. So it's really up to you as to the fit that you like. But the cables and the ribbing that's kind of embedded in the pattern is actually really forgiving in terms of the amount of stretch. So the sizing is actually really flexible in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Melissa Jane has a set. So Melissa, would you like to take yourself off mute and show us?
Liz, you look great.
I thought I'd just bring the whole thing out. Look, I've even put a sock on.
That's fantastic. And your colors
So
are
I've
really
got
fun.
all matchy.
Liz's yarn selection was perfection. It's hard to see on the video, but it's like tweedy speckled yarn. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it was great.
It's got fluoro flex, and then I just happen to have this is all stash busting too, which was great. Oh, I had to order a second skein of the base one because I did all three. And I had never done this bit, but I just followed the instructions and I was thinking, what's going on here? But it all just behaved the way it was supposed to.
Like magic.
Yeah.
Trust the process.
Anyway, Queensland, so they're coming off now.
I know, we
But I
finally
chose to
got
do the DK sock because I've only ever knit 4-ply or fingering weight socks, but I did the DK ones because going to Bendigo.
Fantastic. Well, your feet will be very warm. And then Edwina says that she test knit the fingerless gloves and it was a great pattern. Thanks, Edwina. That's really nice. I think we've got yarn choice and skill level. We've seen a few. Thanks, Kath.
No worries. All good.
Does anyone else have any questions for any of the Bendigo designers?
I have a question for sorry, I have a question for Shelley, which I almost asked, but then I didn't. It was about your poncho, and I'm not a crocheter either. I can do a few basic stitches, but I was wondering if it could be done in sort of in different colors, like the circle in one color and then the other sections. It seems modular or
Absolutely.
modular adjacent, and I thought different colors could work really well for that pattern.
Particularly because the end of the circle, where are we? Ooh. The end of the circle, you actually have to cut the yarn here to start again, and here. So there's like a natural 1, 2, like it would work really well with 3 colors without even trying. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I love the creative thinking in the group.
Oh, and Vera, I'm totally changing the V-neck.
I should put a disclaimer. I am absolutely fine with that. I probably would also like one with a higher V-neck. Have the low and have the high, but I'll just do a different. Michelle goes, I'm changing it to okay.
I think I'm using Louie and Lola's merino possum fingering, and I think with that yarn it makes sense to have a little bit more sort of coverage. But honestly, if I was using the linen, I hope to use the yarn next because it's such a great pattern. I would also leave it a little bit deeper.
Thank
But yeah,
you.
no, that was funny how you said, don't talk to me about the V-neck. Anyway.
All right, sorry, I got a little bit distracted with my cuff, or the brim of my hat, which is coming along. Yay. All right. Oh, look, a sock cuff there.
It's actually mittens for the first time ever. Kath mitts.
Fabulous. You've never made mitts before.
I love that. I love when people take the opportunity to do things for the first time. So try a different technique or a different garment or a different project. And I love that we can support that because even part of the design process, you know, sometimes we're actually trying things for the first time. So yeah, I love that we're doing that together. That's great.
Amazing. Well, I suppose that kind of brings us to, oh, here we go. Here's another question I'll put to the group. How did you, as a group of designers, come together? Okay. Susanna?
Vera?
So I think first it was Susanna had talked to someone, a crochet designer, about having a similar thing to Rhinebeck. And then at exactly the same time, I thought the same thing. And I asked Susanna, would you mind? Because we weren't yet friends, I don't think. When we first talked about it, we were more like, you know, we knew each other more publicly. And I said, would you be interested if we did it at the same time? And then, you know, we would talk about it and then we would, you know, have more people know about it. And then Susanna thought of Tess because Tess also was dabbling into designing. At the same time, having amazing yarn, so that's always.
It was kind of more. Susanna mentioned it to me, and I shoehorned my way in.
Oh yeah.
I was like, "That sounds fun. I want to be part of that." So
And then I think Kath was, because she's the queen of socks, and we were like, oh, we need someone to do socks and do amazing
No,
socks.
it was a similar sort of casual conversation while we were still planning it. I think I just happened to mention it. We're having lunch. And I think, Kath, you were already designing a pair of socks that kind of fit the brief somehow. But yeah, how it started. I was approached by Vera and another designer on the same day in Bendigo about the same idea. So it sounded like it was something that we should try doing. And I had been getting requests for it already beforehand from a lot of customers saying, how about at Bendigo? Because I think that was my second year I had a stall in Bendigo when we started talking about it. So I had started like making a little presence there. So people were approaching me and suggesting like, how about we need our own Rhinebeck? So yeah, it just sort of just started slowly coming together and just talking to each other and casually. So it kind of came together very organically, I would say.
and then we did last year, and I was like, we need a crocheter. We need to ask Shelley.
So there's another question about whether you're planning to do anything differently with the meetup at Bendigo this year. So I was going to talk about the meetup before we signed off tonight, but how will that work?
Well, we are hoping to keep it quite similar. It seemed to work really well last year. Obviously, we're open to suggestions if there is feedback, but we haven't made definite plans for this year's meetup yet, but hoping to keep it fairly similar. It seemed to work
Will
well.
it be on this Saturday?
Yes.
Yeah.
And was it 2:00?
The time has not been set yet, so
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Because the thing is that three of us will be there having a stall of our own. So we need to find a time that will work for three of us to be able to leave our stalls with someone else to go and arrange everything. So it's just a matter of coordination, really.
Yeah, the logistics.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
At least one of us will be swanning about shopping and eating donuts, but
Yeah.
the others have places to be.
Oh, so jealous.
I know.
I know. I'm so excited for Bendigo this year. I think it's such a good event, but you don't have to go to Bendigo because we are going to have a midway project catch up. So I feel like I should know that date because that's been set already, I think, but we'll keep an eye on the socials for that, and I think it's in about a month or so.
It's almost exactly halfway. It is a weekend in May, but we will confirm that.
May, I think.
Sounds about right. And that's an afternoon one. But yeah, we'll do a proper announcement of that date, and we're hoping to plan some fun and games for that meetup as well.
Yeah.
So a little bit more interactive.
Well, I think that brings us to the end of our knit night. I just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. It's been really fun to hear about all the projects. Everybody get stash diving. I know I was up last night combing through all the tubs and bags and drawers and other nooks and crannies where I have my yarn stash hidden, trying to find some, looking for some, that lost skein that, this would be perfect. So enjoy that process, enjoy the knitting, enjoy the patterns, and we look forward to seeing you at the next knit night.